Going Deep podcast, we got Super Bowl champion Willie Colon.
What's going on, everybody?
And we got the man of a million voices, Joey Molinaro.
Good morning.
So week 11 we're going into, and we've been doing this podcast for a little bit. Willie and I started this last year. We obviously took over from myself, Willie, Tommy, and Dave. And then before that, even, McAfee, AJ Hawk, and Old Balls, Jerry Thornton. But something I was thinking about was maybe we should have an intro song. We do have, I love the outro song and like kind of the things in between interviews that we've done, the I Like It song. But I thought maybe a more going deep intro could be too good. So let me just run this by you guys. What do you think about this?
I support it already.
Right?
I support it.
I think it makes me and you a lot cooler, Stephen Shea.
Yeah, I think so. So
how did you find that song? Who is it by?
It is by Lou Charles.
Oh, okay. Never heard of him.
It doesn't have very many plays. It's just called Going Deep. So I mean, obviously, if it's English, I just searched Spotify Going Deep. First song that came up, and it's like, wow, this is actually a perfect fit. So, okay, cool. I mean, if you're with that, then let's roll with that. Kind of in the beginning of episodes, moving forward. Actually, the inspiration is a new untold story. My guys KB and Nick and Jeff D. Lowe, they have a very good intro song that their friend Nico produced. And I heard that, and I was like, I actually want to go back and listen to the song. So I listened to the pod again. So I thought, why don't we do that? Okay, so let's kick it off into actual football business. So some very interesting headlines this week. Willie, you brought this to our attention right before the show. I actually didn't see the story break last night. But former Jets safety, current Seahawks safety, Jamal Adams says he battled depression while he was with the Jets. He's obviously one of the top players in the league, went through a very ugly contract dispute and trade requests. So what is going on here? Is this a regular thing amongst players? I know Kevin Love kind of came out when he was with the Cavs and with LeBron about this when he had, I guess, kind of a panic attack right before a game. And Dak said something about battling depression. He obviously had a terrible offseason, losing his brother to suicide. But how common is this amongst NFL players and NFL locker rooms? And do you guys talk about this?
Yeah, so Jamal Adams jumped on one of my ex-teammates' podcast, Brian McFadden, who does a great job with CBS Sports. I know Joey knows who B-Mac is. And he has a podcast called All Things Covered, where I think it was him and Patrick Peterson are on the podcast. And they sat down with Jamal Adams to talk about, obviously, him with the Seattle Seahawks on top of his days of playing with the New York Jets. We all know Jamal Adams was a first-round draft pick out of LSU, who he was a Mike McCagnon and Todd Bowles pick. But when he landed in New York, the Jets were really trying to rebuild, and they're still in the process of rebuilding. When he got there, he was supposed to be kind of the savior on the defensive side, and really be one of those influential pieces on the field that could really help the New York Jets. Now, he did for his 3 seasons with the Jets. He was stellar. I mean, he went to Pro Bowls. Yeah. He was a mouthpiece coming out of the locker room. He did a great job of really being kind of that, not only a physical presence but a vocal presence. So they end up going 6-30. They won 16 games and 32. They won 16 games and lost 32 games, and during his time there. And I think for him, coming, we have to understand who Jamal Adams is. His father played in the NFL, played for the New York Giants. He was a stud. He's pretty much a stud in high school. Went to LSU. He was stud there. Pretty much he was a bright star coming. Leaving LSU.
Number 6 overall pick. Yep.
And then so he lands to the Jets, and he referenced how leaving the Jets and then moving on to Seattle, it felt like he had kind of had this awakening that when the Jets, the culture was it wasn't good. How guys weren't talking to each other. The front office, there was a disconnect between coaches and players amongst each other. So he was pretty much describing a toxic environment, and how now now he's with the Seahawks, who are currently 6-3. He's just taking notice and paying attention to the details on what a winning culture is like. Being able to talk to a GM, having a basic conversation, being able to have conversation with the head coach, being able to be around guys who are not only accountable for themselves, but are also holding other people accountable for their actions in regards to trying to win football games and what it means to be a winning outfit. And he even mentioned the equipment staff and how important those guys are, and kind of having this kind of one big family atmosphere really makes you want to come to work and be a part of the winning cause. And he said that wasn't going on in New York, and how it made him depressed, and how he realized, he even went to his own father who played in the NFL, who had a pretty good career. And I know he has other relatives that played in the league, or, how he would talk to them about it. And he realized, New York doesn't want to win. That, he was, very vocal about how he wanted to be a Jet for life, and how he wanted to be a guy that was going to be a part of changing things around. And he started to look around, and it necessarily wasn't happening. So he wanted to get the hell out of there. On top of that, you also got to know, we must mention that, during the time he was kind of, with him being vocal, leaving that locker room and speaking up, he was also fighting for a new deal, right? Because he had went to back-to-back Pro Bowls, and he's going on his fourth year.
He wanted to be the highest paid safety in the league.
Right, he wanted that. And so the Jets was like, well, we have other plans in mind, so they shipped his ass off to Seattle. And Valley, I think he's playing fairly well. I know he's battling through a groin injury.
He missed a couple games.
He's one of those bright spots on defense, and Seahawks defense isn't very good. They give the most yards in all of the NFL. So, but he's one of those guys who's now in the Seahawks scheme. He's kind of used as like a hybrid safety linebacker in that defense. So, so he talked about battling depression and really trying to figure out, is this the NFL? Is this something that, from my father to my uncles to everybody who I've ever known played in the league, is this what the NFL is? Is it this disconnected and cold? And how, he stopped having fun and it was depressed for him. And to your point, to your question, Stephen Che, without being overly long-winded, guys battle that. You got guys who play for bad organizations and they struggle with, the love of the game. And a lot of that comes with going to practice every day, being around guys who necessarily don't love the game as much as you do. You got to understand, Jamal Adams, when his first year, I think he had just been drafted probably 2 months. And he goes, listen, I can die on the field. He had made those remarks. And a lot of people jumped on his head for it. But I was totally sympathetic. And I understood it totally what he meant. Because when you love something so much and when you feel like it's your calling and you're living your passion and everything about the game you're just enthralled with, and you just feel like, man, I know that the game can be brutal on the body, it can have a dark side to it, but I feel like I don't belong anywhere else but on the football field. I can understand why he felt that way. And so when you play for an organization and you're playing with guys who don't necessarily feel that way, or you're being a part of a system that necessarily doesn't uplift or hold that standard, or that overwhelming passion that you have in your heart, it can make you feel like you're out of place. And it can make you feel like, nothing is ever going to go right here. And is this how my career is going to begin, or will it end with an organization who, you may not believe really is all in with trying to win football games. So I have a lot of respect for Jamal Adams, but when he mentioned depression, especially with football players, it raised a lot of flags. But a lot of players are depressed. You're battling injuries. You're battling, especially living in New York. You're dealing with media. You're dealing with the New York media who necessarily doesn't care about your well-being or your reputation. They just want the nuggets. They just want to continue to inflate the circus.
Come on, Manish Mehta.
Right, inflate the circus in which people think New York Jets football is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty crazy thing, because you see Jamal Adams, from afar, from a fan's perspective, and he's, one of the top players in the league. I mean, he's just traded for 2 first-round picks, going to get a huge contract, multi-millionaire, going to have no financial worries. He's obviously doing a game that America loves, and it appears, based on those comments, he is very much in love with. So you'd think this guy has it all, but it's very interesting to see that, maybe beyond the surface, there is a little bit more going on there. Joey, what are your thoughts on this?
And I'm glad. Sorry, go ahead, Joey. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, people don't talk about enough. I think the transition of, you got a guy like Jamal Adams, who went to a program like LSU that has 100,000 fans there every week, that lives and dies for LSU. That's a successful program that's been successful in high school. It's been the star on the field everywhere he's ever been, always had success. And then you transition him right away into just an absolute dumpster fire shit show of a losing organization where people just don't seem to care. There's negativity around it everywhere. that's a tough transition no matter who you are, especially for a 21, 22-year-old kid who's just getting thrust into it. So that's tough. That's like when we leave high school and we go to college and you're the big man on campus in high school,
Yep.
and then you get to a university of 40,000 people and nobody knows who the hell you are and nobody cares. That's an eye opener. That could be a tough transition. So that's very tough, and so it's one that I don't think that we talk about enough, especially for a guy like Jamal Adams going from that successful throughout his entire career, growing up playing football at a program like LSU, to then getting thrust to the New York Jets.
Well, I think also too, Joey, to your point, we also got to understand Todd Bowles drafted Jamal Adams, right? And
Right.
Todd Bowles left right after. I think he only played 2 years for Bowles. And then Bowles was out the door. So now he's faced with this guy by the name of Adam Gase, who, like, you understand, if I'm a player, Stephen Shea and Joey, and I don't know a head coach, I never met him, and the first thing I see on TV is this googly-eyed dude sit down who looked like he's having a mental breakdown on his first day on the job. It doesn't give me a lot of confidence that things are going to go well, right? And I know optics are everything. But if I'm a guy who's already on the fence about where I'm at and how things are going with my team, and on top of that, I'm looking at a head coach who's standing around looking like this, and his eyes are just, all over the place, it makes you go, man, like, I'm tired of being laughed at. Because to your point, all my career, I've been that dude. I've always been taken serious. People's always respecting me. People know my legacy and where I come from. I'm back in New York, a place where my dad played. All eyes on me to be a part of the changing and winning culture. It makes you sit back and be like, man, what the fuck is going on here? And I think a lot of people call bullshit on Jamal Adams because he was a guy who stood in front of a lot of reporters and said, I want to be a Jet for life. I want to be a New York Jet. And then when things got really bad and things didn't start to look good, he was just like, there's that one clip of him rolling around Dallas in a parking lot. Somebody says, hey, Jamal, won't you come a Cowboy? He goes, I'm trying.
Right. Yeah.
It was two contradicting stories, and so the New York media calls bullshit with the whole depression thing because they feel like, man, he was a young kid who was balling out, who wanted his money and realized the Jets weren't going to win, so he wanted to get the hell out of Dodge, and he was able to do so. And then there's another side who you kind of have to respect the humanistic part of it. Maybe one of the reasons why he felt so agitated and wanted to get the hell out because he felt depression. Maybe he felt like, man, this isn't just for me. It wasn't what I was cracked up to be. I want to get out. So it's an interesting story. It's an interesting conversation. But I think a lot of ball players do suffer with depression, and particularly during this time of the year, because you got to understand, they've been training since last March. They go through a training camp. They're dealing with COVID right now. They're dealing with everything that's going on the outside of their world, and particularly, family, friends, handling money, trying to be the best you can, battling through injuries. And so you kind of take all that, and then you got to be the best you can be on Sunday, because that's what counts the most. And so if you're a young kid at the age of 20, 21, 22, 23, you're trying to handle all that. And plus, nobody wants to Stephen Che's point, nobody wants to hear your mouth. Why? Because you're making millions. There's a big unemployment rate. We have a high unemployment rate in this country. There's bars and restaurants and people are being evicted right now outside of MetLife Stadium. You got people waiting on lines for food, literally to feed their families. So nobody wants to hear a depressed football player complain about his life. But football players do get depressed. They're humans too, and we go through the same issues. We just do it on a very public scale where everybody can kind of pick and chew at us. So it's a great conversation. Do you have empathy for a guy like Jamal Adams? Or do you sit back and say, you know what, get the fuck over it. You're making a lot of money. Just deal with it. Nobody wants to hear depression, especially when you got, a single mom of 3 trying to figure out how she's going to feed her kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has different problems, right? Like the single mom of 3, obviously, that's struggling to feed her kids. Like that's obviously a huge problem. That's like a necessary thing. But mental health is invisible. But it's also a very real problem. So I think no matter what the salaries or, how public the figure is, you have to kind of empathize because, it with Jamal Adams, especially, like it's lonely at the top. And, from a football's perspective, if he's so in love with the game, being like a quarterback like Joe Burrow, you can have a pretty good effect on a game. You can control the outcome of the game for the most part. He's not 100% of the team, but he is a majority of, what is going to be put out there. And, he's going through growing pains, but he's playing well. The wins aren't necessarily there. But from a safety position, if you're on a very bad team, a bad offense, a bad defense, and you're a really good player, your team can still be really bad and you're doing everything right. So I think you would struggle to see that gratification if your team and you as a leader on defense getting barbecued in the tabloids, every week. I could see how that could be frustrating. Willie, you and I are both Knicks fans. The Knicks media has been called toxic for decades.
Sure.
And, when things are going bad in New York for the Knicks, and this is a basketball town, the players hear it. We drove Carmelo out of town. And, that's the topic for another day. But all right, let's move on. Another guy who's making headlines, unfortunately for me, Antonio Brown. So a story came out a couple days ago that on, I believe it was October 15th at like a condo association or homeowners association that he lives in, some development, he destroyed a security camera and then was caught doing so. And the woman that caught him, he threatened to throw a bike at her or kind of intimidated her so she wouldn't press charges. He has since replaced the camera, and apparently things have been smoothed over. The timing of this is very odd. So apparently the day of the incident was October 15th. The Bucks signed him on October 23rd at night. So we're looking at just over a week later. They say that they were aware of the issue. I do believe that based on the time it happened before. But, as a Bucks fan, I don't want to say you feel duped, but he does this press conference where he's talking about how, his life is, he's a much better person now. He seems really calm and like tranquil. He talks about Tom Brady hooking him up with Tony Robbins to work out, to talk through things, and he's seeing.
I love Tony Robbins.
Yeah, so
Dine and Me. I love that book.
Yeah, so I mean, he's saying the right things, but then for this to come out like, hey, buddy, a little over a week before you signed the deal, you had an incident that does not look good. It's not great. I mean, I will say, it's tough. Legally, if there are no charges being pressed, what can you really do? It's tough because, as a Bucks fan, I support the guy on the field. He played a hell of a game on Sunday. He was great. He played really good the week before too. But now all this stuff off the field, you want all this to go away. And we've been told from, multiple team leaders, coaches, etc., that he's going to be on his best behavior. I have to do what I said I would do, and that when he was a Buck, October 23rd is a clean slate. Technically, this was before. He's putting me in a tough spot, but from when he signed with the Bucks, he has done everything above and beyond. It sucks that the timing of this is like literally not even 10 days before.
Take off, Joey. Go to fuck off.
Oh, man.
Go off.
Antonio Brown, man. What a guy. All right. Well, I mean, just the gift that keeps on giving, right? I mean, we need to have a going deep tally, I think, with either how many teams that he's wrecked or left as compared to how many security cameras and condos that he's shit on as well. It'd be right about the same as of now. It could be even
a day since last Antonio Brown incident counter.
Day since last Antonio Brown incident. I like that on going deep. Maybe an Instagram story format or something like that. Oh man, I mean, it's just like it's so predictable at this point. I mean, there's no way, and I know Steve and Shay, you're doing a really, really good job. I get it, the clean slate, October 3rd. But there's, you can't nobody can lie to themselves and say, yeah, Antonio Brown, he's really going to turn things around. I mean, he hasn't proven that at all in the last almost 4 years. Really, really. I mean, what's come out, even when he was at Pittsburgh, that surfaced from the time that he was still there, you can go back even farther on that. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And in my mind, I think that in Antonio Brown's mind, that doesn't even register to him. Like when he's sitting there on October 23rd at the press conference for the Buccaneers, it doesn't even register to him that he fucked up and he did something again a week before. That
apparently they were aware of it. That's the story. That's what they're going with. I have
that's fine that the Bucs are aware of it. What I'm saying is that Antonio Brown himself, it doesn't even register to him. Oh yeah, that was a bad thing that I probably shouldn't have done. Like,
right.
He is such a narcissist and an egomaniac that literally nothing he does reflects poorly to him. It's all AB, and it doesn't matter what it is. Like, it's insane. I've never seen anything like it before. He's the gift that keeps on giving, and it's really, really unfortunate that it's only a matter of time now before he blows up on one of Brady's kids, or he throws the food back at Giselle, or I mean, it's
so like, they're not actually living together. Antonio Brown is living in St. Petersburg. Tom Brady has found, from what I've heard, a new place in Tampa. So they were never actually like living together, maybe for like a couple days, but like Tom Brady has new residence, so they don't technically live together, is what I've heard.
I also just want to point out, and even call out our coworker Deion Sanders, because I know that is his guy, Antonio Brown, and he's always so quick to point a finger at Big Ben for doing something. But how's that going for him right now? I mean, Big Ben's a pretty clean slate right now, and things are working out pretty well in Pittsburgh for him without Antonio Brown. But maybe a couple more destroyed security cameras or furniture being thrown off of a ledge. Maybe that'll open up old Uncle Deion's eyes to some things.
So this is my problem with the whole situation, Stephen Che, because you're trying to mask this. You're trying not to be a homer, but you're a homer.
I have to be a homer in this. Like, whatever the Bucs do, I'm gonna support.
But this is what's disturbing. This man was pretty much on the bench, fighting for his career, with everything, with all the baggage laid out right next to him. Multiple teams were willing to give this man a shot because he's no longer. I'm a
multiple
guy
Super Bowl contending teams, the Ravens and the Seahawks.
Yes, sir. All these teams at one point believed that Antonio Brown was the complete package, meaning off the field he was great, on the field he's amazing. We are now here to say we are now hiring Antonio Brown, and I'm talking on behalf of the teams, simply because he's an amazing football player. Whoever he is off the field, that is a work in progress, right? That's what teams want to say. What's disturbing to me, and I think Joey's trying to hit on it, like I know, when teams are interested in you, you've had multiple dialogues with a particular team leading up to the point before you even sit down and talk to coaches and visit the facility. Your agent has conversations, your trainer maybe, whoever's in your camp has talked to multiple teams or has talked to one or two particular teams.
The teams are doing their due diligence, yes.
Right. So you're telling me on October 15th, prior to this incident, you have talked to multiple teams about you getting another shot into the NFL. You've sat down with Roger Goodell. You've sat down with multiple people trying to assess your mental evaluation. And even if you're worthy of being in the NFL, mind you, you have a sexual assault case pending. You're going through an 8-game suspension because of this. So you're telling me before October 15th, all of this is currently sitting next to you. And you go the fuck off for whatever reason. You act immature, you destroy a camera, you do all this shit. To Joey's point, he thinks he's invincible. He's narcissistic. He thinks nothing bad. And mind you, with everything sitting right next to him, for him to feel at that point that he can crush a security camera, threaten anybody, it just shows you who the type of person he is. And it kills me to hear that because, like I said, I love the kid when he walked into the league. I hate the guy who he is now. And for that to happen on October 15th and to October 23rd, for you to kind of give this somber, real heartfelt, I'm sorry, bullshit. I don't know who Antonio Brown is. I just know what I see on film. What I see on film, he's still a top-rated receiver who can kick a lot of ass on the BA alongside with Tom Brady. Off the field, I don't know who he is. I can't trust him. I don't know how anybody can trust him. Because if you're telling me with all this pending, and you still go to fuck off, you don't really care. You feel like you can do whatever you want. You feel like it doesn't matter. And honestly, he's right. He's 100% right. Because you can't. I cannot get out of jail a day later, and then go murder somebody and be like, why is everybody upset? You know what I mean? Like at this point, I agree with Antonio Brown. He is untouchable because he's not to have.
No. I mean, so let's take a step back. If this was another elite receiver, let's just say DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Michael Thomas, whoever you want to put in there. If there is a story of Devontae Adams destroying a security camera at a homeowners association, like condo area where he lives, it's a total blip on the radar, not even like worthy of being talked about. And he's going to score a touchdown on Sunday and everyone's going to cheer. 0 people are thinking about what he did at that HOA. Now it is a guy with a monster rap sheet, terrible reputation. All eyes are on him. Yes, this is going to sound a million alarms because he is on what's supposed to be no leash. So what's tough is like this did happen before he signed.
Which makes it worse.
After he signed, I would think this is a good question. If this happened today, would he still be on the team? I tend to think no.
I tend to think yes, and I'll tell you why. Because you can make a lot of excuses onto why he performed or why he had this type of outburst, right? You can make excuses for it. There's no excuse for a man who hasn't been employed yet to act like that. And it's really a bad look on the Bucs. And I'm gonna be honest, and I like the Bucs, and I met with the organization. I got a lot of respect for those guys. It's a bad look for them because for a guy with, to your point, with a monster rap sheet, a week before you hire him, there's another incident, and you just say, all right, I guess we got to kind of turn our eye to this one too. How can you trust a guy, especially when BA, who I love, said, listen, we don't need him. We're good. We what we got, we can work with. It wasn't until Chris Godwin got hurt. It wasn't until Mike Evans, both guys, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, dealing with hamstrings. You still trying to figure out how you're going to get Gronk implemented into the offense. Leonard Fournette is slowly coming along. You don't really know what you have. It was a business decision. So I would like the Buccaneers to say to themselves, listen, we hired a selfish, narcissistic asshole who's a damn good receiver. Case closed. This was a business transaction. We didn't pay him a whole lot of money. He's insurance for us. Who he is and what he's about off the field, we can't speak for. We know that we put his feet in cleats. He's one of the best in the league, bottom line. Playing this whole holier than thou, we didn't, we knew, but, what are we going to do?
Yeah. So, I mean, the truth of the matter is they made a deal with the devil, and they knew who they were getting into bed with, and they knew, there's no secret. The Bucs are all in for this year. Like, Antonio Brown is on a 1-year deal. Tom Brady's getting older. He's still playing well. Gronk is in the last year of his deal. So yeah, we're all in for this year. We got to put our best foot forward. And at the same time, like, we can't just lie to ourselves and say that all football players are great guys. Like, a lot of them aren't. But, Antonio Brown obviously has the most spotlight of that group, and he's under the most scrutiny, deservedly so, not a great guy. But again, like you said, he's a damn good football player, and that's how you're measured at the end of the year, is your results on the football field. If the Bucs win the Super Bowl this year, and we're talking about an HOA security camera that he replaced, like, it's a non-story. But yeah, I mean, it sucks. Like, as a fan, I'm going to support the team no matter what they do. I was a little bit confused with the Antonio Brown signing, but it makes sense based on our injuries. And yeah, we made a deal with that. We're all in for this year. And I am totally good with Jason Light and the organization pushing all their chips to the middle of the table and saying we need to get a little bit better, but we're all in.
Just say that, Stephen Shea. Say that. I don't want to hear.
I haven't strayed from that. I have said we're all in multiple times.
But I want the team to say that. And my point is that because I think as an owner or as a team, when you
That'd be a
talk
tough press conference to call.
But no, when you're talking to the fan base, when the fan base and the reporters call bullshit, you get ahead of it. Like, listen, we hired an assassin. On Sunday, you can't double cover him. You can't cover him, period, one-on-one. Bottom line, when we need a touchdown, he's one of the guys we can go to. As far as making him a better person, I don't think we're in that business. Because I think at this point, people call bullshit. And then when you call bullshit on things like this, it's like, well, we have no further comment. Be transparent. Listen, Antonio Brown, a football player, is okay with us. Antonio Brown, a human being, that's something we can't speak about. And then when people say, well, why would you want somebody in that part of your organization? Like, motherfucker, you got people in your family that rob, steal, kill. They still come to Christmas dinner, right? All right, move on. Next question.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say, having watched the past 2 weeks of film, Tom Brady missed him a couple times. Tom Brady was excellent.
He had that one big
this
miss
past week at Carolina. If Tom Brady was on the money for the past 2 weeks, Antonio Brown would have 300 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. He's still a damn good
receiver.
Yeah.
That's I think my point to cap it off, and not to cut you off, Joey. Let the world know that's what we're in business with.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like that doesn't even need to be like.
No, it doesn't.
Antonio Brown, they're all in for this year. They know, like, we're not signing this guy to a 10-year, $100 million deal, or whatever. This guy's on a 1-year deal. He is an assassin for the rest of the year. And as a Bucs fan, part of me likes it. Part of me doesn't like it, but part of me likes it.
See, now we just gotta wait for the ticking time bomb that is if Tom Brady doesn't start hitting him, then when will the Gatorade coolers start flying and the helmet
they're good.
Going? And when we see that Antonio Brown come out. So is it a couple more weeks of that? I mean, that would be my next worry.
Yeah, I mean, we will see. But something I will say about the Antonio Brown incident. So, this happened at a condominium or whatnot that he's staying at or was staying at. But what you got to do is just get a home of your own, be away from everybody, find your own neighbors, find your own peace, and finding a home that fits your family needs can be tricky. You want room to spread out, space to gather, a place to get away from it all. Luckily, when you need a mortgage that fits your family needs, a great place to look is Rocket Mortgage. When I'm looking for a new house, I'm not thinking, is my mortgage going to work for me? To be honest, I didn't even think that was an option until I worked with Rocket Mortgage. You want to see how you get different down payments on your, how different down payments impact your monthly payment? No problem. You can see loan options, adjust payments, and closing costs online, all in real time. Super helpful when all you need to know is what it takes for a home loan to fit your budget and your family. Rocket can. That's because they provide the tools and expertise you need to understand all your options and find what works for you. Even if you're not ready to buy a home yet, just check out their online home buyer's guide for tips on where to start. When you are ready and need a lender who will help you understand all your mortgage options, Rocket can. Get started online at rocketmortgage.com/playbook. Again, rocketmortgage.com/playbook. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030. Get yourself a home. Rocket Mortgage, great option for seeing how exactly to do that. Makes it really easy. Can't recommend that enough. Get away from, very close neighbors. Get a home of your own. Great decision. All right, let's talk about a lighter topic, the Pro Bowl. So the Pro Bowl has been canceled in person. So Willie, this was an event that you and I attended last year in Orlando. It has certainly lost some fizzle. Certainly the players liked it a lot when it was in Hawaii, and you get an all expenses paid trip to Hawaii for you and your family, etc. It has since moved to Orlando for a cost-cutting move in a league where the commissioner made $43 million 1 year. And now they were actually going to move it to Las Vegas, which is pretty exciting. I mean, Orlando has some appeal because, family, you can take your family to Disney World. That's cool. But now it's going to be in Vegas. Certainly that was going to be an incredible atmosphere for the players. Due to COVID, it has been canceled and it will be replaced with a Madden simulation, which is interesting. What are your guys' thoughts on this move? Do they need to cancel it altogether? What are your thoughts on the Pro Bowl? Willie, I'll start with you.
I think we all understand the Pro Bowl's dead, right? It's been dead for some time now. As you mentioned, we went to the Pro Bowl last year. It was in Orlando. The vibe we got for a lot of the guys, they were just happy to see each other, right? And it was kind of like a high school reunion. The atmosphere was great. A lot of former and current guys were there. But overall, the game, the product on the field was poo. I think I took enjoyment out of seeing the guys compete in a different kind of, Nickelodeon double dare type competition.
Yeah, that stuff is fun.
That's fun. I wouldn't mind seeing who's the fastest guy in the NFL. I wouldn't mind seeing who's the strongest, having a bench off. I don't mind seeing guys do a tug of war on the beach. Having those different type of things is fun for the viewer. Who could jump the highest, who could jump the longest, fine. Some type of Superman athletic feat. The game itself, guys don't like playing. Guys don't want to get hurt. Guys have gotten hurt. Guys find it a waste of time. Unless, like you, to your point, as you also mentioned, the reason why guys like going to Hawaii, because it was treated like a vacation.
Yeah.
And the reason why guys were able to kind of play up for that game, because they also knew the guy, whatever happens at the end of the game, you can also stay a couple extra days. So you don't mind kind of getting banged up a little bit and getting after it, because you had 3 or 4 days on the beach in Hawaii. So that was kind of the golden goose with that thing. Now that's kind of erased. Nobody wants to see a half-hearted pass rush. Nobody wants to see a half-hearted pass block. Nobody wants to see, this guy's kind of lollygagging around the field. We're good. And I think the guys are good. I think since we're in the league and we're in the business of social media or kind of, getting that clout, just put guys on a list. Guys have been dealing with it since high school. Put them on an all-pro, Pro Bowl list. Give them some type of incentive. Invite them to Las Vegas. Have a big 2-day event. Make it more of a party. Make it more for the family and friends and the fans. And then after the 2 days, let the guys get the hell on. If guys want to spend 2 days getting, fucked up in Vegas and being able to participate, then fine. But having these guys clash heads, having most of the guys who get selected don't even go because they got to get off-season surgery or, they just opt out. So the NFL should save its money, build it around the fans, make it more enjoyable for a fan experience, have more inclusion with the players, and then send guys home, and we'll be done with it.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything Willie just said. I hate the Pro Bowl. I hate having to feel like I have to watch the Pro Bowl when it's, 5 minutes into the first quarter and there's, an off tackle handoff and, the guys just literally hug each other and then, call the play. And I'm like, well, what are we even doing here? But I like that. I like wherever the Pro Bowl goes, maybe make the events centered around that, So if you're in Vegas, the guys are playing blackjack, we're getting them in that scenario. If it ever came to, Indianapolis, we're throwing them in Indy cars and we're having them race around the Indy 500 track. Orlando, they're, doing the Buzz Lightyear fire off thing at Walt Disney World. Put them in different environments that we're not used to seeing them in. Have some fun with that, wherever they are geographically, wherever the Pro Bowl is. Like you said, a couple days, bada boom, get it in and out. It's going to be more entertaining than that shit show of a game, and be done with it.
Make it no longer than 2 or 3 days, tops. 2 days, 3 days seems more than enough, but make it a 2-day event, family, friends. Make it all about the fans. Listen, you got fans who are supporting football right now, whether they're watching the red zone or whatever. I mean, you got guys who are diehard football fans like ourselves. Give it all back to the fans, and it'll just come back to you tenfold. So, because listen, Stephen Shea and Joe, you don't know this. We were there. We were, hanging out with the players. We were kind of moving around. A lot of these guys just want to be at their families, and some of these guys aren't even showing up for practice the next day. And practice is a modified walkthrough. It's not even like they're pretty much in flip-flops, kind of stepping through plays so they can operate when it's game time. So when you have players missing practice for a Pro Bowl, it shows you the care and interest level about it. Those guys, we were there. Guys were playing cards, having a couple of drinks. They were having guy time, so they weren't even in the mindset that, I got to go win this thing. It's over with.
So this is actually and Willie and I talked to a few people that were in, I guess, the org or, in some of these meetings about, improving the Pro Bowl. And I think a lot of the momentum is there from those people. But what the NFL needs to take advantage of is they are in the most watched league in the country, but a lot of people don't know these guys. Like with their helmets off, it's much harder to identify the top players. They have a golden opportunity where they can do stuff like Willie, like you mentioned, like who's the fastest, who can throw the farthest. They used to do, I mean, they still do some of these things, but they can make it a lot more fun and really market their stars. That's what they should be doing with these few days. It would be great to see Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and, anyone else with a really strong arm throw the ball down the field. Who could throw it the farthest? Who's the most accurate? Like I used to love those moving target quarterback competitions that they would, have on CBS. See Jason Witten, flipping all these tires, and Warren Sapp on the bench press and things like that. Like those are the things that fans want to see. Take advantage of this time. Nobody cares about the actual game where Joey says, guys are just hugging each other. You can't really hit people like Sean Taylor laid out Brian Moore. Like you can't really have those anymore. So take advantage of this time. Get your superstars helmets off and get America to know them, because this is your best opportunity to.
Having a slam dunk contest is one thing you could do.
Yeah.
Having a home run derby is another thing you can do. Having a 40-yard dash. Like to your point, Stevie Che, there's a lot of things we can do to make our guys be more bigger than life. We can make our guys, their brand expand. I wouldn't mind seeing Patrick Mahomes in a slam dunk contest. I wouldn't mind seeing guys like a J.J. Watt in a home run derby. Like having our guys look like superheroes like the NBA does, it would just help the game more. Like a lot of people couldn't tell you. And I think George Kittle was a badass dude. But if George Kittle was to walk down the street to New York, half would know, half wouldn't know. You know what I mean? But if Lamar Jackson walks down the street, everybody's going to know.
Right.
Because a lot of the position calls for the attention. So if you take the helmets off, to your point, now you're getting guys like Cam Haywood. More, Cam Haywood in a home run derby is a monstrous thing. Everybody knows Kyler Murray was a first round draft pick in the major leagues.
Right.
Him in a home run derby, why not? So the NFL has to do a better job of just kind of expanding their brand, expanding the Pro Bowl. Enough with the games. Nobody cares about it. It's always on something like off Sunday where you pretty much got to clean your house. So
it's a week before the Super Bowl. Yes.
Right, so you feel obligated to kind of get your life together. So I'm not to be redundant. Away with the game, feed the fans.
Yeah, and I mean, as a draft guy, like I love watching the combine, but we're watching for the most part like mid-round picks, guys that could be potentially undrafted. You do have some blue chippers there that are going to run the 40, but you're seeing the rate of people that are doing, or prospects that are doing these events, decline. How exciting would it be for Tyreek Hill and whoever, Deshaun Jackson, or all these fast guys run the 40? That would be very captivating. That would be must-see TV. So NFL really blowing it here with what they're doing with the Pro Bowl this year with the COVID and the Madden thing. That's fine. I mean, there's nothing we can really do about that. Don't put people in harm's way. Don't need to be. Not a big deal. But for future, NFL, fix it. All right, let's go deep on these games this week. We've got, I think, the best slate of primetime games this year so far. So Thursday night, we've got Arizona at Seattle. Sunday night, we've got Kansas City at Las Vegas. The Raiders handed the Chiefs their one loss this year. And then Monday night, we have a very good matchup in the NFC, the Rams taking on my Bucks. So all good games with teams with winning records that are playoff hopefuls. Let's start on Thursday night. Arizona at Seattle. I mean, this is a heavy hitter matchup. Arizona won in overtime by 3 last time. Joey, who you got in this NFC West showdown?
Yeah, this is shaping up to be one of the newer rivalries, in the NFL with Kyler Murray and the explosive offense, and of course going up against Russell Wilson. They've been playing each other for a long time when it comes to Arizona and Seattle. But I think my worry in this one would just be how Arizona reacts on short week, coming off that miraculous Hail Murray that we saw on Sunday. Are they emotionally stable enough? Are they mature enough to be able to turn it around that quickly, go up on the road to probably your biggest rival in Seattle and play well on Thursday night, especially after Seattle's coming off back-to-back losses when they're in kind of desperation mode right now. So that would be what I'm going to be watching for the most here in this matchup. I've picked Buffalo over Seattle 2 weeks ago. I picked Seattle last week to bounce back. Of course, they didn't do that. I think in this scenario, I'm going to go with Seattle again. Back-to-back weeks of riding with Seattle on a short week. Like I said, they're in desperation mode. They need it now more than ever. And I don't know. I just think that Arizona was dead and gone in that game. They had a miraculous win that happened for them, a miraculous moment that happened for them. I think that could be tough to bounce back from on a short week, especially. So I'm going to go with Seattle.
Willie, who you got?
Yeah, I'm surprised Joey said Seattle. I don't know how you can say Seattle after that absolute blowout of the not blowout. It was an absolute phenomenal game between Buffalo and the Cards last Sunday. By the way, I'm convinced that Josh Allen is the new Ben Roethlisberger 2.0. The guy is just, I mean, he had his ups and downs during that game. But that last drive, back in the end zone of Stephon Diggs, amazing. And then for Kyler Murray to come off the bench and say, big fella, you're not leaving with the W. I got this, to scramble to his left and drop an off-balance dagger with D-Hop going up and Moss and damn near the whole secondary of the Buffalo Bills. I'm all in for the Cardinals, man. I think they're one of those beyond frisky teams. You have to start taking them serious.
I think they're the fifth best team in the league right now.
Man, Kyler Murray has 10 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
17 touchdowns in total. And the guy looks like somebody who he's on fire. You can tell the moxie, the way he's scrambling, his playmaking decision, the way the team rallies around him. They're starting to believe and that, they can really do something special this year. And, a lot of the motivation has to kind of lean on, how do you want Larry Fitzgerald to walk out that building? A guy who's been probably the best professional I've seen all time on and off the field next to LeBron James. How do you want to leave? How do you want that man to walk out your building? So I think the team is hot. I think the Cardinals are probably the hottest teams out right now. And I'm a believer. I'm a believer in the Arizona Cardinals. I think Kyler Murray is the guy. I like D-Hop. I like that offensive line. They got to kind of pick it up a little bit. But, they got a defense that's really starting to kind of come into their own. I love Isaiah Simmons. I think he's going to be a stud next to Budda Baker. And listen, I think the Cardinals are going to win. I think they're going to knuckle up and kind of rub elbows with Russell. But these Seahawks don't have a defense, even though our good friend Stephen Chase Snacks Harrison, Dame Snacks Harrison, played last Sunday. They couldn't stop a soul. I mean, the Rams did whatever they wanted to at any time. And I see the Cardinals doing the same thing. So I got the Cardinals winning. Yeah,
the Jamal Adams versus Kyler Murray matchup will be one to watch for sure. Jamal Adams is used a ton as a blitzer. Kyler Murray, there isn't a more elusive guy taking snaps in the league than him. So that'll certainly be an awesome matchup. I actually do like Seattle to get right in this game. I think if Arizona really wants to be considered a legit contender for the NFC, this is a must-win game for them. Yep. This would be a huge statement on a national stage for them to get this W. Seattle's they're tested. They're time-tested. I like the Seahawks to win and cover the 3-point spread. It's a very high over-under 57.5, so hopefully we get another great shootout like we got in Arizona a couple weeks ago. All right, let's move on to Atlanta at New Orleans. This is an interesting one because we don't yet know who the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints is.
You know who the starting quarterback is?
I think it'll be Jameis, but I feel like the smart thing to do would be to split reps like 50-50 or 60-40 to Jameis. You can't.
I think they're going to do that regardless.
Yeah, you can't have Jameis throwing the ball 30 times. Correct. You're just asking for interceptions. I mean, he almost had an interception last week in 10 throws. So, yeah, I mean, the Saints offense is so interesting because they weren't good in the beginning of this year when Drew Brees was completing like 62% of his passes. Jameis Winston is like a 62% passer. Like that's not, I mean, he was 6 for 10 last week. It'll be interesting to see if they can stay on schedule with his accuracy. He can push the ball down the field a lot better than Drew Brees. I don't think anyone's denying that. So it'll be interesting to see if they can take advantage of some of their weapons. But yeah, I mean, Taysom Hill provides a really, really good running option. And he is like a very light Lamar Jackson in the fact of what he can do taking snaps. Joey, who do you got in this game?
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting. But I think that you look at New Orleans, you look at Sean Payton, and he's just licking his chops to be able to get Taysom Hill out there any chance that he can get, and he's going to, like you said. I just think that you take Sean Payton, he's born for these kind of situations to be able to scheme up something that's going to work for whether it be Jameis or Taysom or both. And we saw last year when Drew Brees went down for New Orleans. I mean, Teddy Two Gloves went, I think, 5-0 or 6-0 as the backup quarterback. I mean, people thought they were going downhill there. He went and he won at Seattle. He won at Chicago. He won a lot of big games for him last year with the backup quarterback. I know this is Jameis and Taysom and not Teddy Two Gloves, but still, it's been proven this team, whenever Drew Brees goes down, they can rally, they can make things happen. So I'm gonna stick with New Orleans here. I think Atlanta obviously is just a shit show, and I like the Saints.
I will say that Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Brees play a very similar style of football. They're not like very vertical, like down the field guys, very accurate. They're guys who are going to be completing 70-71% of their passes. Jameis and Taysom, I think Jameis's accuracy is going to be better than Taysom's, honestly. But they're both not those type of guys. So I'm interested to see how the offense changes. Willie, who you got in this game? New Orleans 5-point favorites.
Yeah, I'm on the fence emotionally with this one because, as you may know, to everybody out there, I don't know if you know, Joey, Raheem Morris is a Hofstra. He's a Hofstra grad. He's a pride. He used to play for Hofstra, the school me and Stephen Che both used to walk around in. So I'm a little loyal to that. On top of that, I'm a big believer in Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has 67% completion percentage, 15 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. But Atlanta doesn't have a defense. They're awful. They can't stop anybody. They're right along with Seattle. But they seem to have they're kind of building their swagger back. Jameis Winston, I'm just not a believer in, man. I have nothing against him personally. I think as long as he has Alvin Kamara on the field, that's just going to be his safety net. That's going to keep him upright. But if it comes down to leaning on him to make the right decision and putting the ball where they need to be, the Saints aren't going to be very good. Splitting time with Taysom Hill is the smartest thing to do. But I think what the Saints are doing right now is they're finding to win games. Their defense is starting to pick their games up. You talk about how they knuckled up and beat the shit out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sorry, Stephen Che. You talk about how they rallied in the last game they played in. So I'm starting to be a little bit of a believer in that Saints defense. They're making the plays they need to do. Cam Jordan. You talk about Rankin. You talk about DeMario Davis. You talk about Michael Jenkins. He had a pick last week. They're starting to kind of come into their own. So I'm starting to be a believer in the New Orleans Saints, and I think they're going to win this one. But I'm worried about Drew Brees, Stephen Che, and maybe you could help me. The guy suffered. He took a sack in that Niners game, fractured some ribs, a collapsed lung, and nobody fell on him. The guy actually turned his body and
he didn't have his full weight on him. He still fell on him, but yeah, not. It was a terrible roughing the passer call.
Horrible call, and Drew Brees pretty much. I mean, he's glass at this point. You can't do anything to him.
Yeah,
what are the New Orleans Saints going to do?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of tough to pick this game. Like, if I were a gambling man, I'd stay away from this game because straight up, like, actually, if Drew Brees was playing, I'd actually like Atlanta. But
right.
with
I kind of do like Atlanta, but
you don't know who's gonna. You don't know really what's a game plan for. Are you game planning for a more vertical New Orleans Saints passing game with Jameis Winston? Are you game planning for like a heavy rushing attack with Taysom Hill? I think that's going to put a lot of stress on Raheem Morris and this defense. The Falcons are playing a lot better under him and are actually a pretty good team. I have them 16th in my power rankings this week, just because even at 3-6, they've been much better under Raheem Morris. But there's so much unknown. I would not touch this game if I was a gambler. I'm just really interested to see what the Saints do. I think it'll be Jameis, but I think it'll be like a 60-40 type split, and that's what I would recommend. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Here's one. Steve, game of the day for you guys. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, man, I just want you to be safe out there. Make sure you click it or you're going to get a ticket day and night. We're talking about NHTSA from November 16th to November 16th through November 29th. State and local law enforcement agencies across the nation are stepping up their enforcement efforts for motorists who aren't wearing their seatbelts. Don't be dumb, people. When you get in the car, doesn't matter how far you go, put your seatbelt on. It's the smartest thing to do. It saves lives. It's not about if you're in a rush. Don't kid yourself. There's no such thing as, not buckling up. It's not a good excuse. You're in the car, buckle up, get going. If you have to use any of these excuses or any other, you're putting yourself at risk of injury or even worse, death. In 2018, nearly 10,000 people were unbuckled when they were killed in crashes. That's 43% of people killed in motor vehicle crashes that were not wearing a seatbelt. So once again, click it or ticket. No matter what kind of vehicle you drive, wearing your seatbelt is the best defense in a crash. That is true. Even when you sit in the back seat, you still need to buckle up. That goes for when you ride in taxis and use ride-sharing services like Uber or whatever the hell's Lyft, if you will. Cops are on the lookout and writing tickets, so why take the risk? Seatbelts save lives, so do the smart thing and buckle up every trip, day or night. Click it or ticket, NHTSA. It isn't about citations, it's about saving lives. In 2018, there were 9,778 unbuckled passenger vehicles occupants killed in crashes in the United States. To help prevent crash fatalities, we need to step up seatbelt enforcement day and night. So be smart, do better, be conscious of it. If you're in a car, do not buckle up. Please buckle up. Click it or ticket, NHTSA.
Basics. I mean, me and Willie have young kids. First thing we do when we put them in the car, buckle up. There's no reason you shouldn't either. Save your money for holiday shopping. Don't get a ticket. Yeah. Very easy, basic stuff.
One way of thinking about it.
Here's a game that I would recommend you guys buckle up for. Pittsburgh at Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville wins this game.
What?
Yeah. Pittsburgh, as you guys have noted, play down to their competition often. Jacksonville is a very frisky team under Jake Luton, and I don't want to be the guy that always calls upset. This is the second one I'm going to call this year. But Jacksonville historically has given Pittsburgh problems. Doug Marrone is, a very tough, slug-it-out coach. James Robinson, the rookie running back, undrafted guy, really good player. Under Jake Luton, I know he's only completing 60% of his passes, but they have been frisky. They scored a punt return touchdown last week. They almost won in Green Bay. I think they're just due. I think Jacksonville beats Pittsburgh this week.
Get him, Joey.
I mean, you got to give us a little bit more. If this was coming after the Dallas game, then sure, maybe. But I mean, we just beat the doors off Cincinnati last week. Right? I mean, we bounced back. We played against the competition how we were supposed to and kicked the shit out of the Bengals. I see where you're coming from. I think that this will be another eke it out, fucking Big Ben limping, me and Willie pissed off throughout the entire thing game. But I don't know, man. I really don't think that the undefeated season that is right now is going to come closing down to the hands of something called Jake Luton. I don't care how well they played against Green Bay last week. I trust that the game that was an eye-opener for the Steelers was in Dallas. You saw right away the difference coming out in the first series last week. The first series against Dallas, you're in your base defense. You got TJ Watt and company covering CeeDee Lamb and all this shit. You didn't see that last week. You let your rush guys rush. You let your cover guys cover. They put it on Joe Burrow and the Bengals from the very start, and they didn't let up. I got faith that this, even though it might be an annoying game, I don't think that this is going to be the one where we say, wow, Miami Dolphins is 72, pop your champagne, because, again, the Steelers lost in Jacksonville. I think it'll be somewhat of an annoying game, a little bit of a close game, but I just think that the Steelers are too motivated right now. I think that they got too good of a squad, and I like them to still go into Jacksonville and get a W.
Yeah, I'm with Joey here. I don't think this is going to be the one. But however, I know Mike Tomlin sitting in that room telling these guys, the world is praising us, the world is blowing us, but this is who we are. And he's putting on film, talking about how the Steelers aren't very efficient in the run, how they got to do better on third down, how they got to keep up Big Ben upright, and how they got to continue to push the ball down the field. But when it comes cold weather time, they got to do a better job in the run game, and they haven't done so thus far. They got to pick it up. And I know they're standing in Pittsburgh when it comes to running the ball. They like to run the ball when it gets cold. I think a big part of what kind of snags the Steelers is the weather down in Jacksonville. It's going to be warm. It's going to be nice. It's going to be a little bit humid. The reason why the Steelers do struggle at times, in particular a team like Jacksonville, because teams are always going to give you the best shot, but you got to be able to turn it on early. You can't wait to the third quarter. You can't wait to the fourth quarter, because what teams do, they realize when they're up ahead or they feel like they got you where you want, they know how to keep a Pittsburgh offense on the bench, right? And they watch Dallas run the ball. They watch Dallas run the ball down Pittsburgh's throat. They watch Cincinnati spread it out and kind of dink and dunk all over the field. Even though T.J. Watt had a hell of a game, he went the hell off. Mike Tomlin is going to keep this team on par. He's going to be, listen, ignore the bullshit. It doesn't matter how many wins I have. It doesn't matter what's going on the outside. It doesn't matter where the people are seating us right now, even though the playoffs haven't started. But if it was to start today, Steelers will be a number one seed. Mm-hmm. That's all pooey, because in 2 weeks, that whole narrative could be fucking out the window. So we have to continue to be on the hunt. We have to take care of what we need to take care of. We got to get a W on the road, because it's an AFC game, and we got to get back to Pittsburgh and continue to barbecue eat, barbecue grill teams, as you would say, Stephen Shea. So I don't think this is going to be the one. I'm nervous. There's some games I'm nervous about. I'm a little nervous about Buffalo. I'm nervous about seeing Cleveland. I'm nervous about seeing Baltimore a little bit, but Jacksonville, yeah, I'm not nervous about. But listen, anything can happen on a Sunday. But if, like to Joey said, if I'm not talking to if you don't see a tweet or text come off the Willie Colon hotline, as you know, the Steelers aren't doing well on Sunday.
I will say though, it does not help that a short week comes right after that against Baltimore on Thanksgiving night. So that would give me cause for concern as well, that not only is it playing down to your competition, but it's a game that, okay, you're already kind of looking ahead to on Thursday night, because you got Baltimore coming to town again, where really, the Steelers would win the division if they were able to win that game on Thursday night in Heinz Field on national TV on Thanksgiving night against the Ravens. So definitely a lot at stake. All those things are being talked about right now. Willie, I'm sure you know they're saying this is a trap game. They're saying we're playing down to our competition. They're saying this, they're saying that. I hope that Coach T is saying all that. So hopefully the boys are, wake the hell up and go down there and just kick the shit out of them.
Stephen Shea, I do not want to walk into the building Monday or sit here Monday and do my job without wearing a Victory Monday shirt. And on the precedence that the Jacksonville Jaguars are the team that fucking put a dagger in us, put a dagger in our O. That wouldn't make my Thanksgiving. I'm gonna be down in Jackson, Mississippi, where it's nothing but Saints fans and Cowboy fans and Steeler fans. And when I walk around Jackson Mississippi,
State fans.
Say that again.
Jackson State fans. That's where I'm coaching.
That's true. That's where Stephen Chase. He's gonna be the new OC there soon. I do not want to walk around Jackson, Mississippi with my wife's family, who's going to be rocking their black and gold, and I'm going to be rocking my black and gold, and to know that my O has gone and had died on the behalf of the hands of Jacksonville Jaguars. I cannot have that. So, yeah, you know what? I may be a little more cranked up for this Sunday's game. As the more I keep talking, I may pour a big bottle of bourbon, put myself in the back room in the house, and absolutely lose my shit unless the fucking Steelers get it done. So I don't want to, you know what? I'm talking myself out. I may not even watch the game because I don't want to, I may just have a mental breakdown thinking that this could be the goddamn team that takes us down. It will debunk everything we've been talking about. All the shit talking I've been doing. I go on live radio every day and talk about how the world needs to be on their knees and blow every Pittsburgh Steeler in a helmet right now. So Victory Monday shirt. At this point, it's a uniform for me. Like when I wake up Monday, I don't even look for it. I kind of do one of these, bang, throw the V up, and I go to work. So everybody listen to get your Victory Monday shirts.
Yep, Barstool Store. We got Giants shirts now too, which have been selling like hotcakes. So let's move on to Tennessee, Baltimore. So you said the look-ahead game, Baltimore versus Pittsburgh on Thanksgiving night. The Ravens have a tough test before that, and they are really. They suffered a 6-point loss to the Patriots on Sunday Night Football in a rainy game, especially in the second half. There's no line for this yet due to some potential COVID concerns. But of these two teams, Tennessee and Baltimore, who is more fraudulent? Joey, we'll start with you.
Man, what a gift that was, huh, Willie, on Sunday night. I went to bed. I wanted sight unseen because I was like, look, they're probably going to win. But if they lose, I wake up on Monday morning. That's a double victory Monday there. And that's exactly what happened. So thank you to the Pats for doing that. Steelers have a nice 3.5 game lead in the North now. I still got to go with Tennessee here, guys. I think that the last 2 weeks of showings against Cincinnati and then at home, prime time against the Colts, your biggest rival. And that's the kind of performance that they put out there. I mean, it was just absolutely putrid. I had people calling me out for saying that the Colts were frauds in that game. I still am not very impressed with the Colts. I don't know why. I'm just that we'll talk about that later. But I got to go with more fraudulent in this scenario. It's got to be Tennessee right now. For our sake, hopefully they can pull something out like New England did and make it tough on Baltimore to beat them up a little bit before a short week where they come to Heinz Field. But man, Tennessee has just been absolutely garbage the last 2 weeks.
Well, I think it was obvious that Pittsburgh game was their Super Bowl. And when they lost that, they kind of got their hearts ripped out, especially when you go down to Cincinnati and you lose that game too. They just haven't been able to kind of get back on the horse and really ride strong. But I honestly have the Baltimore Ravens winning this one. I'm going to tell you why. You lose to the New England Patriots. Now you have to come into this game, play another outfit that's going to be run the ball down your throat. They have a pretty decent quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, who has 65% complete percentage, 20 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. They can't lose this game, then turn around and go against a team who hasn't lost a game yet. That you talk about a mental fuck. That team will melt like cotton candy. So they know they need some type of confidence. They need some type of muster. They need something before they play the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thanksgiving when it's going to be a big fucking fat turkey. And they do not want to see Ben Roethlisberger, Chase Claypool, Cam Hayward, T.J. Watt, Bud Dupree all hoisting their turkey legs. They need that muster. They need that confidence. They need to kind of warm their horse up and really get a dub going into that game. Because as Joey mentioned before, as you just mentioned, Stephen Shea, the Steelers win Thursday night. They're the kings of the North. So I think they're gonna give one type of Rocky, back against the wall, cut me, Mick. I'm gonna go get this one. But they need to beat the Tennessee Titans before they do that. They have to build their confidence up, and they have to stop. Listen, they got to stop Derrick Henry. They stop Derrick Henry, game's over. Ryan Tannehill is going to be Ryan Tannehill. But Baltimore needs this one. So I think it's going to be a desperation win for Baltimore. I think they're going to do a fairly decent job. I think they're going to get it done. But they can't lose Tennessee and think they're going to go to Pittsburgh and have a shot, because Pittsburgh at home is fucking brutal. They're nasty. They make it muddy for you, and they suffocate you. So Lamar Jackson knows that. I think he still has a little bit nightmare terrors from the last time they played Pittsburgh. Yep. So he doesn't want to go into Heinz Field with having three L's on his resume going into Heinz Field. He doesn't want that. The organization doesn't want that. You don't want to start hearing like, oh, should we sit him down to save his confidence? They got to win this one. This is a must win. They won't say it. Yes. Josh in the office won't say it. Jake Bass won't say it, who's also in the office. Brandon Newton, who my brother, he won't say it, but this weekend is a must-win for the Baltimore Ravens if they think they're going to step in the highest field and have a shot against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a must-win game for the Ravens. They looked awful on Sunday night. There's no real way to sugarcoat that. Ryan Tannehill, quietly, you mentioned his numbers. He's on pace for 36 touchdowns and 5 picks this year. He's having a great year. Again, a rematch of the divisional round last year where Tennessee jumped out in front and then just couldn't really, Baltimore could not really come from behind to win that. I think they will have a better game plan this time. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Lamar Jackson can really get right, because it feels like he's been figured out. Also, last week for the Titans, A.J. Brown, what happened? A big catch to start the game. He dropped what would have been a long touchdown and then just completely disappeared. So I would anticipate he's going to have a strong comeback game, but I actually do like Baltimore to get right in this game.
Yeah, I do too. But Baltimore and Tennessee, man, that's going back a ways. It's always rough and tough. It's it's rocky. You could say it's rocky. Like Rocky boots. Most of the time, I wear sneakers, fellas. But last weekend, I was out and about hiking around with my wife. We don't have a dog, but we would have brought our dog if we did have one. And I wore my Rocky boots, and they were awesome. I love them. These boots, they keep your feet cool, comfortable, whether you're working a tough job or you're hanging out in the backyard, like this time of year when you're out raking leaves, stuff like that. Since 1932, Rocky Boots have been headquartered in Nelsonville, Ohio. They're a Middle America company with Middle America sensibilities, just like me right here in Indianapolis. Not some pretentious company that charges $450 for boots because then you don't even want to wear them, get them dirty, and all those things. No, that's not Rocky Boots. Rocky makes great boots at a fair price. Give them a try next time you're hiking, you're fishing, you're working, you're grilling. Trust me, your feet will thank you. It's that time of year. We're out and about doing those kind of things. Holidays are coming up. Great gift for them. Rocky, rugged since 1932. It's getting ready to be the holidays, like I said. So get a new pair of Rocky boots and get outside and enjoy this crisp fall, early winter weather. Go to rockyboots.com, enter the code Going Deep at checkout for 25% off your next pair of boots. That's code Going Deep, all one word, at checkout for your 25% off your next pair of Rocky boots.
Nice ad read, Joey. Let's get into the America's Game of the Week slot. Green Bay going to Indy, Joey, where you live. Colts 2.5-point favorites, which is an interesting line considering the Packers are 7-2. The Colts did have a long week after victory over the Titans. Who do you got, Joey? I'll start with you, the Indianapolis resident.
Man, like I said, the Colts, they keep screwing me. I can't figure them out. Every time that I say that they're frauds, they come out and they beat the hell out of Tennessee. And every time I say, oh, it would be nice if they beat Baltimore, they look like frauds and they get their ass kicked by Baltimore. Seriously, it feels like any way that I go, they're going to go the opposite of. I still can't figure out this team. I still believe that their ceiling really has been reached with Phillip Rivers. I think a road win in Tennessee is nothing new for them. They absolutely dominated that series, especially in Tennessee. Man, I don't know if they can keep up with Green Bay. If Aaron Rodgers comes in and Devontae Adams comes in and they're firing on all cylinders, not like they were against Jacksonville, but like we did see him against San Francisco, I really don't think the Colts can keep up. I don't think that Phillip Rivers could push the ball down the field like that. I think that they definitely don't want to get into a track meet with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay here. Man, this game's tough, man. I'm going to go with the Colts. I think just because that defensive front, I think we'll be able to get after Aaron Rodgers a little bit and make his life hell. The Colts had a little bit of a long week there to rest up and had a little bit of a mini bye after beating the hell out of the Titans. They're rolling high right now in Indianapolis. I'm going to go with the Colts. I think it'll be a good one, but I'm going to go with the Colts.
Yeah, I got the Packers win this one. I think they realized they almost fucking stubbed their toe against Jacksonville and almost lost that game. So I think they're going to be fired up. I think they're going to come out and they're going to walk into Indy and they're going to be like, listen, if we want to have a place at the table come playoff time, we got to be the team like the Indianapolis Colts. You're talking about Aaron Rodgers, who has 68% completion percentage and 26 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Devontae Adams, to me, I mean, he's one or two best, receiver in football. I think he just continues to kick a lot of ass. Put him wherever you want on the field against whoever, he's going to show up and get it done. So I'm a big fan of his. The Packers D, they're pretty much charming. For Jacksonville to have a shot, and the way they run the ball, and the way Dalvin Cook ran the ball up their ass, I don't like the Packers defense at all, but I do love Aaron Rodgers, and I love that offense, and it's hard to go against Aaron Rodgers right now. I don't tend to bet against him, kind of like you don't bet against Belichick. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is in the same conversation. So I'm going with Green Bay, getting it done on Sunday, 4:25. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, this will be an interesting one. I'm surprised that the Colts are favored, but the Colts certainly are like a heavy hitter defense. It's tough. I kind of like Green Bay to win this one. Alan Lazard coming back from injury. I think they'll be a little bit invigorated with his return. I like the Packers to kind of roll in this one. All right, let's go to Sunday Night Football. Chiefs at Raiders in the Death Star. The Raiders have the one win over the Chiefs this year. The Chiefs are 7-point favorites. Willie, who you got in this game?
Man, believe it or not, I got the Raiders. I got the Raiders winning this one. I'm a
Sweep the Chiefs.
Wow.
bruh. I like Henry Ruggs. I like Derek Carr. I think he's playing a lot. He's playing smarter. I think he's more aware. I think that defense is starting to rally around him. I think they got a little grit to them. I just like the Raiders, man. I got this feeling in my stomach that the Raiders are horny for the Chiefs. They're tired of hearing how great they are in the offense and Andy Reid and all his gadgets and his jet sweep motion and all the other bullshit. I think the fact that they went in KC and kind of held them up in the alley and walked away with a dub, I think they want to do it again at home. I think it'll be a big win for the organization and John Gruden as a whole if they could sweep the Chiefs, who are still, as we sit here and talk, are still defending champions. So I just like the Raiders, man. I don't really have a lot to say about it. I think the division's up to grabs. And the Raiders are 2 games back in the division. This would be a tiebreaker with the win. I like the Raiders, Stephen Shea. I don't have a whole lot of magic for you. I'm going with the silver and black.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I like the Chiefs coming out of this. Andy Reid, 18-3, coming off a bye in the regular season. The Chiefs are coming off a bye. I think he's going to dissect them. The Chiefs are 7-point favorites on the road. I think they're going to blow them out. All right, Monday night, we got my squad, the Bucks, at home hosting the Rams. A big time matchup.
Never heard of
NFC. The Bucks 7-3. The Rams, I believe, are 6-3. Again, really good slate of primetime games this week. Willie, who you like in this one?
I feel like when me and Joey sit down and talk Bucks football with you, we shouldn't open our mouths. Just like you should never open your mouths when we talk Steelers, right? Because I feel like there's nothing we can say personally that can convince you or sway you that the Bucks aren't going to win every time they walk on the field.
I mean, I always like to think I always hope the Bucks are going to win. This will be a tough game. The Rams have a very good running offense. The Bucks are very good at stopping the run. If they can pressure Jared Goff, I think that they're going to win this game. Jared Goff is a guy who needs to be stationary, stay on his spot, and he can stand and deliver. Hopefully they can make him uncomfortable. Tom Brady, interesting stat. He has 3rd rushing touchdown last week, tied with Lamar Jackson this season. Both have 3 rushing touchdowns. That kind of points to Brady being very effective on the sneak and Lamar Jackson just not having as good of a year running the football. But yeah, I mean, this is a big time game. Both teams competing for right now wild card spots in the NFC. With Drew Brees' injury, this is a big chance for the Bucks to really close that gap. They're just half a game behind the Saints, but they can really take that next step. They need to obviously have one more win than the Saints due to the tiebreaker. So this is going to be a very, very big game. I'm looking forward to seeing it on primetime. It's an old school rivalry from, the late 90s, early 2000s with the Kurt Warner days and the Greatest Show on Turf. So this memory is special, or this rivalry is special to me. I really hope we stick it to the Rams, but they are playing some very good football right now. It'll be a good game.
This is a big game for the boys up front. Everybody knows who Aaron Donald is, but there's a guy by the name of Malcolm Floyd, right?
Leonard Floyd.
Leonard Floyd.
Leonard Floyd, excuse me.
3 sacks last week, yeah.
Who went the hell off. And so there's a couple of guys on that defensive line who's starting to heat up like him. So for the Bucks front line, those 5 up front, they're gonna have to get it because I saw my guy Ryan Jensen. He's playing left guard last week.
Yep.
They had a new center in there. So Ryan Jensen, Aaron Donald. It's gonna be 2 Bulldogs in there, kind of knuckling up. Can he get it done? And if they can stop Brady, they stop the Bucks. So they're going to be on the hunt, Stephen Scher.
Yeah, it should be an interesting game in prime time. But yeah, Bucks 3-point favorites. Hopefully we can pull it out. All right, closing thoughts. Willie, what are your closing thoughts for this week going into week 11?
I'm gonna throw this one to Joey because I want him to have a floor and I want him to set the table to what the Steelers are going to do and give me some more gusto going into Sunday, and then I'll finish it off.
All right. Thank you, Willie. Well, first of all, the World's Team hoodie. I'm wearing it. It's comfy. It's clean. It's cool. It's classic, just like the Steelers. It's all the things that we are. Got a nice little Barstool logo there in gold. So those are available not only in hoodies, but in T-shirts at store.barstoolsports.com. Get yours now. Rocking with us. World's Team, 9-0, about to be 10-0. All right. We got the shit game out of the way against Dallas. We know that. We knew going in that was going to be a trap game. We knew going in that Dallas was going to give us our best shot. Keith Butler was going to play vanilla defense, all that shit, yada, yada, yada. We came out last week against Cincinnati. We beat the doors off of them against the number one pick, Joe Burrow, PFF, and everybody was saying, oh, Bengals are going to go in there and they're going to beat the Steelers. Beat the shit out of them 36-10. Let's just find some middle ground here in Jacksonville, okay? I'm not asking for this to be another 36-10 blowout. I know it's probably not going to be that because that's not what we do on the road. That's just not how we operate. Just go in there instead of getting down 10-0 early or 13-0 early. Why not flip the script a little bit? Let's be up 7-3 at the end of the first quarter.
Yes.
Let's be up 10-3 at halftime. I'll take that gladly. Go out there, sure, make it interesting a little bit. I'm sure that's probably what it's going to be, but let's not do what we did in Dallas. Go out there, handle business in the fourth quarter. If we have Mason Rudolph taking some snaps, even better. Let's come out of there with a nice, 28-17 win. On to Thanksgiving, on to Baltimore on Thanksgiving night. We win the division there. Let's just take care of business this weekend in Jacksonville against, again, something called Jake Luton down there and come back ready to take the North.
Stephen Che, I want to do this, man. I know the Red Zone, a lot of people watch the Red Zone. If you don't, it's a fantastic thing to watch on Sundays. But the witching hour, right? I want to talk about the witching hour. Okay. For everybody that watches football and loves football, the witching hour should be on CBS, Fox, and every platform. To have it simple, to have it solely on the Red Zone is a shame. Because I tell you, I was going between the goddamn Buffalo and the Cards to Miami and the goddamn Chargers. I was watching a lot of primetime, big-time football that I think it would help the sport. It would help young guys see what high-level football looks like on a 420-hour time slot. A lot of people get out of church, or if you're done with church around 1 o'clock, you come home, you kind of moseying around, you want to throw on some goddamn The Boys, or you want to watch something on Netflix. I think the witching hour on Red Zone, as soon as that clock goes tick, 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 we are in the witching hour, it should be like a state of the address, like the president talking to the nation. Everybody should be watching football at this time, Stephen Che. I live for it. I was sitting home. The wife was sitting there like, oh, what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? I said, listen, I don't give a fuck what we're going to eat. All I know is the witching hour. I got the kid in one hand. I got a nice tall juice. I got chips in front of me, and I'm locked in like somebody who's going to fucking burst if they don't get enough football in their veins. It's amazing. More people should be more eyes on it. More people should be watching it. Stephen Che, I almost IG lived you just to talk about the games because I was all over the place. I watched Josh Allen go through Mike Tomlin used to say the ebb and flows of the game, right? Yep. Man, he had an ebb and flow type game. He threw a pick. He was getting sacked. He was scrambling. And then 2-3 minutes into that last drive, bro, he was electric. I mean, Cole Beasley with the one-hand grab to Diggs at the back at the corner of the end zone. Sick football. Tua and Herbert kind of locking horns. The defense showing up for the Dolphins. You talk about flipping over to see the Steelers beat the shit out of Joe Burrow, who I thought they knocked him out of the game before halftime, but he was able to come back in that game. It was just quality. Daniel Jones may be the fastest white boy I've ever seen on TV. Honest to God, bro. The guy got fucking wheels. He's all of 6'5". He has his country accent, and he may be the newfound. I mean, he may be Clark Kent himself. The guy's he's impeccable. He just happens to play on a shit team. All that said, it was quality football. The world should be watching. They should take the Red Zone and put it on every fucking channel until it's over, and then go into whatever Sunday night TV lineup there is.
Yeah, I mean that would be great. Everybody needs more football. We thank you guys for rocking with us. Huge week of games, primetime games, the best you're going to see so far this season. So, for a man of a million voices, Joey Molinaro.
Have a good one, everybody.
Super Bowl champion Willie Colon.
Peace.
This is Stephen Che. See you guys next week.